I liked this definition of power. The ability to do or act, capability of doing or accomplishing something. And that's really what I'm trying to do with my pictures. I always want my pictures to have a sense of power. Like I said, I think day one, I want people to feel something when they look at my pictures. I want it to elicit some sort of response. So when I started thinking about how are pictures powerful a couple of years ago, I kind of tried to figure out some specific things that they can do, and that there was a commonality with many iconic photos that they were doing that. So we're going to look at some of those now. So the first thing that photos can do is they can have the power to transport us in time, literally. Music can transport you in time, but pictures can do that too. For me, also smells. I can smell something and be like, ooh, that smells like my high school cafeteria. Like, and I can like immediately feel like I'm the nerdy kid in school and no one's my friend, but that's things that should stay in my head. Okay, so the power to transport us in time. Pictures of an important time or event can instantly transport us to a memory of where we were, how we felt, what we saw, and what sounds we heard. Now, I wasn't alive during the time that this picture was made, but it's a very famous photo taken by a gentleman by the name of Stan Stern, who is a photojournalist. And Stan Stern, I'm going to read the bottom because it's hard for you guys to read. Stan Stern's United Press International photographer was the only photographer out of 70 plus that were there that day to deliberately capture JFK Jr. saluting his father's coffin. So sure he had captured the only photo needed of the funeral, he chose not to follow the family to the Arlington Cemetery and instead returned to the office where he immediately developed his one roll of film. I love this story, actually. So obviously it's JFK's funeral. It's a very big event. Like Stan discussed, I've read many articles about this that he was interviewed in before he passed away, that he he was just one of a sea of photographers. And he had only shot one roll the entire funeral because he was so sure that he got in the picture. While everyone else was focused on Jackie and the coffin, no one really had any approached the photo with a lot of humility or thinking that there might be another way to tell the story. And so he was the one that, there were other people that got this photo, but not deliberately. Does that make sense? Like, his intention was he was watching his son the whole time, so he got low enough to compositionally make the perfect picture. So he makes this frame, and everybody goes to the cemetery. And he's like, ah, I got it. So he runs back to the office, and his boss was livid. Like I've read articles that he thought that his head was gonna explode. Like he said he had never seen anyone madder than his boss, and that he was like, his face was all red. And he's like, what are you doing? Everybody's there, we're not gonna have the picture. He's like, dude, I have the picture. And so he developed it in the dark room with his boss on the other side, like panting and huffing and puffing, waiting for the picture. And he's like, I swear to God, your job's gonna be gone if you don't have the shot. And he came out, and he showed the one frame, and he's like, by golly, you got the shot and you can keep your job. And that's what ran on the front page of every newspaper. And it was first because he was so sure that he had made the picture that he got it into the press before anybody else. Everybody else was still at the Arlington Cemetery. That's amazing to me. And what I want to stress is that you should trust your gut sometimes, and that taking a little bit of risk in making those pictures, trying to see from a different point of view, can actually be rather rewarding in the end. He cared about the story. Like, he thought about this differently than any other shooter that was there. And for that, I'm incredibly in awe of. And I think about that every time I'm trying to make a picture. I think about, what would Stan Stern do? For people that were around during JFK's funeral, when they see this picture, they know exactly what it is, and they can remember when they heard that the president was assassinated. From what I understand from documentaries I've seen, it was devastating. Like, it was a devastating moment. So in a way, this added a little bit of humanity to a rather tragic event, that it will go on. Like, that legacy, obviously the Kennedy legacy went on, but that he was human, not just a president. He had a son who loved him, who was honoring him. It's pretty awesome.